Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy. Real quick, let me know that y'all can hear me. So I'm doing this on my laptop. Unfortunately, YouTube didn't want to let my studio stuff work, so it is what it is. Here we are. So Peter Yan just went out there and had an incredible war with Deiveson, Figueiredo. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you all did as well. And it's just cool to see two legends go out there, throw down, show that they're still in the mix. They're still in the top 10 of their respective weight classes, top five even. And basically, what this fight came down to was the pace of Peter Yan. Deiveson Figueiredo is very opportunistic. He's very dangerous, but he needs times. And the thing is, Peter's the polar opposite. Peter's going to make you work the entire time. And as you can see in the strike count, he more than doubled up Deiveson Figueiredo. But what makes Figgy so dangerous is that he has those huge moments where, whether it's those big takedowns, whether it was that knockdown, they didn't officially give him a knockdown, but as far as I'm concerned, between you and me, he did get a knockdown, those big body shots. So Deiveson had such big moments, but Peter Yan won, the majority of the fight. All three judges had it 50-45 for Peter Yan. So where does he go from here? When you look at the rankings, pull this up real quick. So basically they got number 5 is Deiveson Figueiredo, and that's who Peter just beat. But number 4, Corey Sandhagen, he's also beat. Number 3 is Peter Yan. Umar Nurmagomedov, who he hasn't fought yet, and then Sean O'Malley and Merab, who he lost to both. So are we talking rematches or, number 6, Marlon Chito Vera called out Peter Yan? Real quick, are there? I see there's people in here, but y'all need to speak up in these comments, man. Tell me what you're thinking. Make sure you let me know you can hear me as well. I'm gonna tweet out right now that I'm live so we can get some more people in here and talk about this Macau card. It's crazy we all stayed up for it, man. So all right, I'm tweeting out live right now, talking UFC in Macau. Come hang out. All right. Good. Loud and clear. That's what I like to hear. All right. So basically, the fight came down to exactly what I said in terms of the work rate of Peter versus the opportunistic moments of Deiveson. Peter was superior tonight, but now in terms of matching him up, it's just tough because it's like I said, he's already lost to some of these guys up ahead of him. It's like, do you want to see rematches? With Sean O'Malley, I mean, it would be fun, but is it necessary? And then the Umar fight, I think Umar deserves the title shot versus Merab. For whatever reason, Merab is kind of trying to pull the John Jones where he doesn't quite acknowledge, like the way John Jones doesn't acknowledge Aspinall. But I think it could just be, playing mental games and also, his way of building up the fight. I don't know. But Merab's going to have to fight Umar eventually. That's just the bottom line. So as far as Peter, I mean, number 6 is Marlon Chito Vera. He just called you out. Like Michael says, Chito's not a top 10 guy. I mean, listen, I don't make the rankings, my man. I don't make the rankings, but according to the rankings, he's number 6 in the world. So 6 versus 3. I mean, but you and I know what the outcome would be there. I'm pretty sure Peter would put a clinic on him. I like Marlon Chito Vera a lot. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's an opportunistic finisher. He's got the most finishes in bantamweight history. But when you're talking about the top 5, there's just so many holes in Marlon Vera's game that's going to be tough to keep climbing the ladder where he's at. So, but again, the reason I keep bringing that fight up, not only because Marlon called him out, but because it's like, are you going to do Umar and Peter? Like, Umar should get that title shot, and then Sean and Peter rematch. Look, it's a fun fight, but is that the fight to make? So, yeah. And would Sean take that fight? He could pull the whole, I already beat this guy once, so why fight him again? And then as far as Deiveson is concerned, I mean, Deiveson, I think he's friends with Henry each other. But yeah, I mean, Deiveson, let's see. I guess Deiveson is gonna have to give one of these younger guys an opportunity. Like man, if Mario Bautista, man, the thing about it, he's on a 7 or 8 fight win streak, but he really lowered people's perception of him with that last performance. It's not that it was a bad performance in terms of, look, he got the win over a legend. It's just it was one of the most boring fights we've ever seen. But the thing about it is, Mario Bautista is historically very exciting. That was just one fight. So, but yeah, but you're only as good as your last fight. So, do they want to give Mario Bautista an opportunity against a former champ after what he did the last time out? And then on the other hand, with Deiveson, not the other hand, but in terms of other options, I was talking about guys that, are not necessarily younger, because this Amin Zahabi guy is like 35, 36, but he just beat Pedro Munoz. He's trying to climb his way up the rankings. Amin Zahabi would be on the kind of win streak he's on. So, yeah, there's lots of ways you can go with Deiveson and with Petr. And then the thing about me saying Petr and Cheeto, I low-key, if there's a rematch I want to see, I kind of want to see that Song Yadong versus Cheeto rematch. That's one I've kind of wanted to see. Break it down with the Grinder. Oh, what's up, the Grinder? That's my boy Devontae Sewell. He says, firstly, can I show these comments on the screen? I'm not on StreamYard. I'm on YouTube. But he says, give Mario Bautista Montel Jackson. Man, see, the thing with that fight, I love the fact that, hey, let's find out who's better. 2 prospects, 2 top guns, 2 guys with all the momentum that are making their runs right now. But at the same time, I'd kind of like to see both of them kind of weed out the old guard, like out with the old, in with the new. Kind of, I know that Aldo fight sucked, but he took Aldo's spot. Guy's spot. Like, could you imagine what Montel would do to Henry Cejudo? And the reason I bring that up is because Henry Cejudo is holding that number 7 spot hostage. And you know what's crazy? Montel's number 15. Guys like Marcus McGee, Amin Zahabi, Kyler Phillips are all ranked ahead of Montel. And Montel has, exponentially, more talent and potential. It's just about him putting it together, which it seems like he's doing now. So, yeah. Let's see. My boy, Small World Lifter said Lone. Dude, that fight between Lone and Ochoa was badass as expected. There's a reason I said that was the fight to watch. My boy Muhammad, our Bruce Lee said, sup, Dan? What up, bro? But let's go in order, man. But I am enjoying this. It's been a while since I've gone live, get the chance to interact with y'all. This is awesome. So basically, I think I covered Petr and Deiveson pretty well. So now it's time to cover the co-main event of the evening, which is one of my favorite fighters, Yan Xiaonan. And the big question for me going into this was, look, you had to lay minus 200, everywhere from minus 180, minus 200 to get Yan Xiaonan, where she looked minus 400 at the end of the day. But coming off the title loss, like the stats show that first fight back, it's every fighter's dream to be a world champion. And when you don't accomplish that goal, that first fight back, you can kind of be a little bit unmotivated, kind of have kind of an uncharacteristic performance. And that was not the case with Yan Xiaonan at all. In fact, what they said on the broadcast was they spoke to Uriah Faber, UFC Hall of Famer, former WEC champion, and the coach of Yan Xiaonan. And Uriah Faber said that Yan Xiaonan's mentality after the Zhang Wei Li fight was positive. She took away, like, hey, I had some big moments in that fight. I dropped Zhang Wei Li. I survived all the bad spots, controversial or not. At the end of the day, she survived all the bad spots. So she took away a lot of confidence from that. And based off this performance, it was a shutout to the point. I mean, officially, the strike count for significance is 78-15, but in totals, it's 89-17. I mean, this was a shutout of epic proportions. Basically, Yan Xiaonan expertly controlled the range, and little kind of subtle things that she was doing was she was feinting the uppercut and feinting the knee, which gives the grappler, the person that's trying to level change, it just makes them think twice about, man, if I level change, I might run into this uppercut. I might run into this knee. So Yan Xiaonan was giving her those looks early on with the feints. And eventually, And now I'm gonna talk about this as well. How I heard the commentary talking about how Tabitha Ricci's, exclusively been focusing on her boxing. She's been dating Callum Wall, your MMA fighters. Um, they abandon all parts of their game and they only focus on boxing. It never goes well. You have to work on everything. And you think with someone like Ricci, who's a credentialed black belt, who the way to beat Yan Xiaonan, why didn't she attempt more than a few takedowns? So that's a very good point. But you got to give credit to Yan Xiaonan for that. Yan Xiaonan instilled the fear of the consequences of what would happen if Tabitha Ricci tried to close the distance, whether it's to throw punches or to level change and get those takedowns. So that's all credit to Yan Xiaonan. It wasn't just about the strike she landed or the takedown she defended. It was about the distance she managed. She basically pitched a shutout and had a beautiful performance and showed that she's clearly still a top 2 fighter. In my opinion, she's one win away from a rematch with Zhang Weili or from a title shot with whoever has the belt. Take a look at the rankings because, like I said, I want to give Yan Xiaonan one more fight before we talk about the title fight. So when you look at these rankings, so Yan Xiaonan's number 2, Tatiana Suarez is number 1. And look, I get it in terms of like skill, talent, potential, whatever you want to say, but Tatiana Suarez barely fights. My whole thing with that is, yeah, I agree that wouldn't be the best matchup for Yan Xiaonan on paper, but Yan Xiaonan could accept that fight just to show what kind of warrior she is, and Tatiana's going to pull out the fight. So why even, do business with Tatiana when the chances of her showing up, and it's unfortunate because I do think Tatiana is that talented, but you have to fight. You can't fight once every decade. So the other options are number 3 is Virna Jandiroba. But what I heard was Virna Jandiroba was on social media calling out a little title fight going, and Zhang Weili actually responded back. So you never know. Virna Jandiroba could be Zhang Weili's next opponent. So that leaves out, interestingly enough. So you look at the rankings right now for Jessica Andrade. She got knocked out in the first round by Yan Xiaonan. People call that an early stoppage. Everyone called that an early stoppage except Jessica Andrade. I wonder why. Probably because it wasn't an early stoppage. You know what I'm saying, man? She flatlined her. And it's like, what, you want to see her take 3 more unnecessary blows so that you can shorten a legend's career? Is that what you want? Is that what's going to make you happy? So, yeah, I think it was a perfectly justifiable stoppage. Maybe I'm biased. But the other options, number 5, Amanda Lemos. Listen, I don't know if the fight makes sense, but in terms of rankings, 2 versus 5, you want to stay active. You want to get one more win. I mean, getting a win over a former title challenger never hurts your stock. She already beat Mackenzie Dern. And then, so Yasmin Lucindo is a young prospect that's been making a name for herself. I personally think it'd be too much too soon for Yasmin Lucindo, but if that's the route they want to go, because like I said, I really truly do believe Yan Xiaonan, just take one more fight, get one more big win so we can really build up that rematch, or whoever's the champ at the time. What's a fight I've always wanted to see? I've always wanted to see Yan Xiaonan versus Rose Namajunas, but like y'all know, Rose Namajunas moved up to 125 pounds, but now that Rose, she's already proven that, she's not going to be fighting for a belt at 125. Manon Fiorot did her thing. Aaron Blanchfield dug deeper. So with Rose, it's like, are you going to feed her to the prospects like Natalia Silva and Macy Barber at 25s, or is she going to drop back to 115? You can get that Yan Xiaonan fight going. Yan Xiaonan gets a win over a former champion. Now you're right back in the mix. You're right back in the talks for. Because I saw that from Yan Xiaonan is someone that's still hungry, someone that still has potential, someone that still has that deep desire to go out there and touch that undisputed gold for one night. And I truly do believe that Yan Xiaonan is good enough to do it. But the matchups have to be right. The timing has to be right. And let's see what they do with her next. So featured bout, we had Muslim Salikov and Keenan Song. And man, how can you not be a fan of Muslim Salikov, the king of Kung Fu, the king of spin? I'm a fanboy for Muslim Salikov, man. Like he's had incredible wars, like with Zaleski, incredible knockouts, like tonight. Like, let me just pull up this man's resume because when you see the guys he's been in there with, and I mean, he knows what it means to have a 5-fight win streak inside the UFC and to be performing at this level when you're in your 40s, man. Like Keenan Song, I'm gonna talk about why that was a good matchup for second. But Song is still like a 34-year-old man. Muslim Salikov's in his 40s, man. So to perform like that against a guy with that much younger, and Keenan Song's a jack dude with big power. Actually, there was a combination that Keenan landed early in the fight. I don't know if y'all remember with hands that kind of rocked Salikov, but I'm not sure if he noticed that he rocked him because he never followed up. But man, Salikov is fast, and Salikov just the spins have always been amazing. But what was so good about this matchup for him is that Keenan Song, like the way to beat Muslim Salikov is you have to push a ridiculous pace on him, or you got to knock him out, right? You got to knock him out like Li Jingliang did, or you got to push that insane pace, like Nick Dalby did. Because the thing about about Muslim Salikov is that with those spins, you can't just be throwing spin after spin after spin. You need to take your time to reload, like that video game meter going up. Once you get to full strength, full power, that's when you can unleash exactly what he did. Put Keenan Song out, and yeah, I just love seeing stuff like that. So for Muslim, I mean, look, like I said, look at the guys he's beat: Zaleski, Pons, and now Keenan Song might not be the opponent on the level of those two, but the knockout itself is one that's going to live on forever. So yeah, big props to Muslim Salikov. And as far as matching him up next, I'm gonna pull up the welterweight division. So in terms of matching him up, who would y'all like to see Muslim Salikov fight next? So what do y'all think about Jake Matthews and Muslim Salikov? That's pretty interesting. No, I mean there's a big age gap, but Jake Matthews doesn't always rise to the occasion. Like Jake Matthews is the definition of a hot and cold fighter, and you have an off night against a guy like Muslim Salikov. I mean, that's what will happen, So Jake Matthews versus Muslim Salikov is always an option. Alex Morano would have made more sense if Morano was coming off a win. What about D-Rod versus Muslim Salikov? See, I think fights like that, Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod versus Muslim Salikov, something like that, So that's what I think they should do next with them. Let's see what else we got. Oh, man. Gabriella Fernandez went out there and starched the Joker and then choked her out. Unconscious, dead. Oh, man. I see y'all got some comments about that. I'm about to read these right now. Let's see. So, Sean K said, I understand it's not Suarez's fault, but I don't understand why people even want her as champ. She would literally never fight. Listen, sad but true, just like that Metallica song, I think that also, I think there's a lot of groupthink going on that Suarez is the uncrowned champ for whatever reason, but like you said, man, she never fights. So, how can you be number one in the world when like to be number one in the world, you got to be number one in the world right now. You don't got to potentially be number one if you were able to make it to the octagon. If you can't make it to the octagon, you're not number one in the world. That's just the bottom line. So, and I don't intend any disrespect when I say that. That's just my honest opinion. So I definitely see where you're coming from with that, Sean. And let me get to a couple more comments before I get to the Wang Kong upset. So, yeah, my boy Meticulous said, bad year for the Joker. He also said the stream is free. No, is that me or is that y'all? Is that me or is that y'all? Y'all let me know. Okay, so here's why you don't lay minus 1,000 on an underdog. Like I get it. This girl had beat Valentina in a different sport, but MMA, you got to cut your teeth. You got to prove yourself. And of course, it's easy now after the fact to say stuff like, to say what I'm saying right now. It's hindsight's 2020, but still, when all you've accomplished at this level is you've knocked out Victoria Leonardo, someone who's been ran through by like 5 or 6 other fighters, it was impressive, no doubt. And I picked Wang to win. I didn't bet her, but I picked her to win. But like to lay a price like that, I need a lot of questions answered in advance. And what questions do we have? You can knock out Victoria Leonardo. I believe 90 plus% of the roster can do that as well. So, hey, y'all, let me know in these comments real quick if you can hear me okay, because I heard a rumor about my stream freezing up. Is that true or is that fake news? How's it sounding right now? But but basically, Gabriella Fernandez. There was nothing on tape that suggested that Wang Kong could finish Gabriella because Gabriella is very durable. It's just with her takedown defense and get up game is historically not the best, and the volume's kind of maybe well, the volume wasn't on the lower side in the Carly Judy's fight, but for the most part, it's not like a seasoned kickboxer like Wang Kong. But Wang Kong, in my opinion, got arrogant, got cocky, and she paid for it. When you're coming out here dressed as the Joker, first of all, that has a bad hit rate. Remember when Marcus Maluko did that against Dricus Duplessis and then got starched? So if you're gonna come out acting like the Joker and doing the guns, like you better like come out and show out. You said you can't hear me at all? That's fucked up, bro. Damn, can't hear me at all. 1 second. Let me see what I can do about that. Choppy with no words. That's fucked up. That is fucked up, man. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Nothing I say is being heard. Oh, that's fucked up, man. That's annoying. Okay. Well, should I end this live stream and oh, okay, Dexter Pope says he hears me fine. Dexter Pope says he hears me. Maybe you got to refresh. I don't know. All right. So, anyways, Wang Kong showed no respect whatsoever to Gabriella Fernandez. And if you're going to come in out there and make a statement, and she was being arrogant and she paid for it. She got caught, got choked out, didn't tap respect for that. But as usual, the Joker dies in the end. So that's what it was. So Dexter Pope, you say you can hear me fine, right? Like no problem or what? So as far as Gabriella Fernandez, I was really happy to see her get the bonus. And yeah, no, good for Gabriella Fernandez. Huge upset. One of the bigger upsets of the year. Hey, did any of y'all take Gabriella Fernandez money line or buy sub? Because if you did, goddamn, like I know you were I know you were laughing all the way to the bank this morning. So that's great to see. And Wang Kong, this is why you got to build these fighters up slow, man. Like even Alex Pereira, right? Like, the reason I'm bringing him up is because like Alex Pereira had the wins over Izzy on his but kind of like this girl had the win over Valentina, but like even like Alex Pereira had a fight, Andreas Michailidis, Bruno Silva, and this girl fought Victoria Leonardo, and then guess Gabriella Fernandez, it's too much for her. So yeah, props to Gabriella, man. Opportunistic finish, you love to see it. So Carlos Oberg and Volkan Oezdemir, man, I think that it was just simply a case where Volkan Oezdemir, he fought hard. He's got just solid meat and potatoes, kickboxing / MMA. But the issue is that he's going to kind of be a gatekeeper to the top 10. If you're not ready for the top 10, Volkan Oezdemir is going to go out there and expose that and expose it in no time like he likes to do. Devastating fashion. But Carlos Oberg represents that next gen of 205 pounders, the more athletic guys, the bigger guys. So had a lot of swag, and he basically won this fight with 2 punches. His jab and his left hook controlled everything. That jab was the key to every single thing he threw in this fight. And man, he just had Volkan. Anytime Volkan closed the distance, he was just getting that head pop back. And that death by 1,000 cuts. It says the strike count was pretty like even. Like I don't know. I watched that fight. Like yeah, like it wasn't 10-8 rounds or anything, but it seemed to me like Volkan Oezdemir, Carlos Oberg clearly put it on Volkan Oezdemir, was superior, outclassed him. And he did it just behind a jab and a left hook, man. His counter left hook and his footwork is so nasty. His takedown defense, too, is very underrated. Every time that Volkan tried to shoot, you saw how athletic that Carlos Oberg. So now with Carlos Oberg, a top 10 guy, now you are a top 10 guy. So what do we do with Carlos Oberg? Well, currently, he just beat number 8. You beat number 8, now you are number 8. So I'm thinking he asked for the Khalil Roundtree fight. I mean, who doesn't love that fight? But what about Carlos Oberg and Jan Blachowicz? We haven't heard from Blachowicz in a while. Blachowicz is holding a number 4 spot. Blachowicz is in his 40s. You have to defend that spot, my man, or you have to gatekeep that spot. And I think that Carlos Oberg, like I said, if Khalil can recover in time, because I know he had the surgery and all that, then you can do the Khalil and Carlos Oberg fight. But if not, I like Carlos Oberg and Jan Blachowicz. If you want to go ahead and get Alexander Rakic out the top 5, you can do Carlos Oberg and Rakic. So lots of options for him. And I don't know if y'all just heard, but Jamal finally got announced. It's going down in LA at UFC 311. I feel like I almost have to go 311, one of my all-time favorite bands. I'm wearing their shirt right now. But just a UFC numbered event, 311, and like it's down the street from one of my best friend's houses. So I think I might. Y'all thinking about going to LA in January for UFC 311? Let me know. Maybe y'all can talk me into it. So now the audio sounds better. Is that what I'm hearing? The audio starting to get back on point. Everything's all good. Yeah, good. All right. So next up we had Zhang Mingyang going out there and starching Ozzy Diaz. And what was so beautiful about this finish by Zhang Mingyang is that the first time I've seen, a step through elbow with the lead side hand or lead side elbow was when John Jones did it against Rashad Evans at UFC 145 in attendance. But he didn't put Rashad down. He stumbled and wobbled Rashad. But to see a dude knock someone out, drop them with it, and get a first round finish, and this Zhang Mingyang guy, he's not some spring chicken. Look, he's only 26 years old, but we're dealing with a guy who's already 18-6. So it's time to go ahead and test him now. Because think about this. If we don't go ahead and test him now, he's just going to keep knocking out all these, lower level mid-tier guys. So let's go ahead. He asked for a top 15 guy. You want a top 15 guy? We'll give you a top 15 guy. How about Zhang Mingyang versus Ryan Spann? Like, tell me it doesn't get better than that at this point in Zhang Mingyang's career. I think that he's at least earned the opportunity because, I mean, when you're running through guys the way that Zhang Mingyang's running through them, like, kid, like, this is how you leap. I'm not talking about the actual rankings, but this is how you leap, from the top 50 to get your top 15 opportunity. You finish guys like that. You don't go to close, controversial split decisions where, it's an uninspired performance. You be Zhang Mingyang, as Dana White would say. So, yeah, I'm thinking Zhang Mingyang versus Ryan Spann. I'm pretty sold on that. All right. So sometimes it skips a little bit. We're going to have to figure this shit out. But either way, I'm having fun talking with y'all. And I'm going to get this eventually situated. For whatever reason, YouTube won't let me set up to my studio setup. So it's a real pain in the ass, but that's okay. So the main card, my picks were really on point. I got all right except one, but on the main card. But the prelims, My picks were trash, dog. I felt like some of my analysis was on point just in terms of the dynamics of the fights, but like in just pure picks, yeah, the picks sucked. But Su Young, shout out Su Young. Su Young got the dub. I'll be honest. This is one of the fights that I was drifting in and out of consciousness for. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I pulled an all nighter and basically watched all the fights. You know, fell asleep for a fight here and there, and then went to jujitsu at 11 a.m. So I am running on empty, but that's okay. The show must go on. But yeah, I didn't really get the chance to see Su Young versus Julicelli, but props to Su Young for getting the dub. Now, as far as the next fight, Dong Hoon Choi and Kiru Sahota, man, I told y'all that Kiru Sahota ain't gonna last in the UFC, but I thought that this dude Dong Ho Choi was just kind of a superior athlete. I knew that, but he just didn't let his hands go on the tape. I watched him. I said, if I can tap into the mindset of Choi and see if he's going to give effort, you never know. And he went out there and gave effort and starched this guy in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. So props to you. Now this fight between Fang Xiaotan, you know, they spell it Xiao Can. There was Xiaonan and then there's Xiao Can. You know, I was watching this fight, and at first, you know, Shi Meng takes her down. Xiao Meng has the butterfly sweep, gets on top. Then I kind of fell asleep. Then I wake up, and when I wake up, Shi Meng is against the fence just by herself. So I was thinking like, oh shit, it's about to be a sudden victory round for Road to UFC. And then a couple seconds later, they keep going to commercial break. They keep panning back to Shi Meng like chilling against the fence. And then I finally see it happen. And then I saw that head kick, and yeah, that was absolutely brutal. We have to see Shi Meng versus Junisi Dubin, who got that brutal knockout on Contender Series. Like, come on, that is the fight to make. I don't care if they're in different weight classes. You make that fight happen no matter what. Now, Carlos Hernandez and Tumen Dembarol. So I know a lot of people were on Carlos Hernandez. Congrats on y'all's win. But man, I thought that was really a 50-50 fight. Yes, I did think that Carlos Hernandez won the minutes of that fight, but I thought that Tumen Dembarol had some really big moments at the end of round 1, at the end of round 3. So me not having a bias and not having any action on the fight, going to the scorecards, I thought, hey, this fight could literally go either way. I was not sure who was going to win, but Carlos got it done, so props to him. So this fight was one of my favorite fights on the card. Lone Kavanaugh. I told this kid Ochoa is really good. The reason I picked Kavanaugh was because he just, you know, slightly fought better competition. But this is the kind of fight for, you know, a kid like Ochoa where he's going to grow leaps and bounds. He's going to have a bright UFC future, and obviously Kavanaugh too. And like I said, I think both these guys can potentially be pushing the top 15 this time next year. So shout out Lone Kavanaugh and Jose Ochoa, two absolute studs in the UFC flyweight division. So Zhao Long and Quang Bang Li, man, Quang Bang Li had some early moments, but it was just that relentless pace of Zhao Long that made the difference. You know, Zhao's come a long way, no pun intended, and you went out there, got a big knockout late in the fight. You'd love to see it, and you're going to stick around the UFC, kid. And then kicking off the card, we had Nicholas Mata versus Maheshate. Before I talk about that, last call for questions, because I'm going to break down Maheshate questions, then I'm going to get out of here. So if y'all got questions for me, anything you want me to talk about, you let me know. But Maheshate and Mata, man, that was a sick fight. Like I said in the breakdown, Mata's got a nuclear left hook. But I had a hard time picturing him winning a decision, but the way he won a decision makes sense because it was predicated on knockdowns. I thought if he was going to get knockdowns in this fight, I thought it was going to be a knockout. I should have thought of the possibility of him getting knockdowns, but the guy surviving because he's so tough and durable and then winning that way. So Mata, man, he couldn't miss tonight. He couldn't miss tonight. So you love to see it, and let's see how they match him up next. All right, I'm going to read through what y'all got to say, and last call for questions. So Sean K says Lemos versus Yan is a banger of a fight. Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the only options you have for Yan at this point. So that might be the one. Um, bad year for the Joker. Yeah, I agree. Low T City Ortega. What's up, man? Good to see you back in here. Said Peter Yan is so good. Yeah, he's so good. But do y'all think y'all think Peter Yan can win a belt again? Or do you think he's gonna beat everyone else except like Umar and Marab? Because that Marab fight, like y'all know I'm the guy that's, telling you I thought Peter beat Aljo both times and did all these things, but man, Marab, there wasn't no controversy there. Marab put it on him. Injuries or not, Marab put it on him. And you saw certain moments today with Deiveson taking him down, but Deiveson needs he needs to take breaks in fights so he doesn't gas himself out. Whereas Marab's pushing that pedal to the metal constantly. And, that's how he is able to work his opponent. So, yeah, I think Umar and Marab are really tough matchups for Peter. Okay, I think that's it. So listen, I'm gonna get my shit together regarding the live streams. I know in terms of the regular videos we put out, we're all dialed in, but we got to figure out the live stream situation. So that's my plan, to figure that out and give y'all a weekly live stream, maybe more. And this coming week we don't have UFC, so I'm gonna be doing some other content that I look forward to doing. And yeah, make sure y'all follow me in the usual places. Best Fight Picks on Twitter, Half the Battle HQ on Twitter, Half the Battle Pod on Instagram, Half the Battle Podcast on TikTok, here on YouTube. Subscribe, like, leave me a comment, share. Truly, truly appreciate it. Y'all are the best. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.